Hey, welcome to Draft Academy. My name's Mike. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about writing JSON. And JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. And it's basically a language that's used to store information about different things. And so we can store that information in a series of key value pairs. So these are things like variables, lists, and objects. And we can use those different structures in order to structure our data and better define information about different things. The way we write JSON is by creating a JSON file. So a JSON file is created with the extension .json, just like that. And inside this file, I want to open it up and start it with these open and closed curly brackets. And inside of these curly brackets, we can start writing some JSON. Now, you want to pay special attention to the JavaScript object notation syntax. If the syntax isn't correct, then it's not going to get parsed correctly and your JSON's not going to work. Now, I can start defining some key value pairs, and in this tutorial, I'm just going to define some information about myself. So we'll be defining information about a person. And I can start writing some information by defining a key value pair. And the way that you write a key is by putting it inside of quotation marks. So I could say, I want to define my name, and my name can be equal to Mike because that's my name. So we have a key, and then we have a colon, and then we have the value that goes along with it. And after each value, if you want to add another one, you have to put a comma, and then we can add our next value. So in addition to defining a string like Mike up here, I can also define a number. So I can define my age, and this will be an integer 23. I can also define floating point numbers. So I could define like my GPA. Let's say my GPA was like a 3.5. You can also define more advanced numbers, like bigger numbers. So I could define an exponential number. So we could say like maybe my favorite number is some really large number like 1e plus 10. So this is an exponential number, and JSON will be able to parse through that as well. So in addition to strings and numbers, we can also store booleans. So I could say male, and we'll set this equal to true because I'm a guy. And we can also just define a null value. So I could say like flaws is null. So this will just be the null value, and this is a keyword in JSON. So now let's start structuring our data a little better. I could actually take all of these values and put them inside of an object. So I could define an object of here. We'll just call it person. And now inside of this person object, I'll place all of these values. So I'm just gonna make an open and close curly bracket. And inside of that open and close curly bracket, I can place all of these attributes. And so now all of these attributes belong to person. So I could access them like person.name, person.age. All of them are children of this person object. They belong to this person object. So we can also define values inside of lists. So I can make a list of, let's say, my hobbies, and this will just list out all my hobbies. Now, lists are created with open and closed square brackets like this, and I can just start adding in values. So I could say my different hobbies are like hiking. So these are gonna be all my different hobbies, and this will basically just store a list. So I can actually loop through this list of hobbies now and access all of these different pieces of information. So in addition to just creating a normal list, I could also combine these different structures. So I could actually create a list of objects. So let's make a list called friends, and each entry inside of this list is going to be an object. So I'm going to structure this a little bit differently. And now inside of here, I'll just put the first object. So we'll say this, each object will represent one of my friends. So we can give it a key of like name and then a value. And we could also give this an age and a value. And so now this represents one list item in my list. So I can copy this and create another list item, and we'll just change the information. So now this will represent a different friend. So technically I could loop through this list of friends, and I could grab each one of these objects and access each attribute inside of each one of these objects. So this is the way that we can combine objects and lists into a complex list. So that's the basics of JavaScript object notation. Just by using those mappings, those lists, and those objects, we can define all types of complex data, and we can structure our data in a way that's easily readable and easily parsable by a computer. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to Draft Academy to be the first to know when we release new content. Also, we're always looking to improve, so if you have any constructive criticism or questions or anything, leave a comment below. Finally, if you're enjoying Draft Academy and you want to help us grow, head over to draftacademy.com/contribute and invest in our future.